my best to make it inclusive as I speak today. So thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited to be here. I want you to think for a moment, like just really imagine how different the world would be if everyone had fulfilling, healthy, and fun friendships and even relationships, right? Because this rolls over to relationships as well. I've talked to a lot of people over the years. I worked in corporate for 15 years. I've been self-employed. I've worked at a quarry, so I worked with a lot of men, and I worked in the tech industry as well. So I've talked to a lot of people who've shared their disappointment and frustrations and their bad experiences in their friendships. And making friends as an adult can be really difficult. There's a lot of reasons for that, right? People move around, people move, their lives changes, they get divorced, they get married, they have a different job. And, sometimes your kids go off to college and now the friends that you had were the parents of your children's friends, and that all shifts and changes as well. So sometimes what can happen is people might think that there's something wrong with them, right? There's some shame attached to not having a lot of friends. And that's part of what our mission is with Authentic Friendships, is to help dissolve and remove that kind of stigma or that shame or embarrassment that might happen for you if you find yourself not having a lot of friendships. So at the end of our time together, I'm going to give you some tips and some tricks and some strategies to create more authentic elements in your friendships and feel more inspired and committed to allowing more connection and fun in your friendships. A little bit of technical stuff, right? So studies show it takes about 40 to 60 hours of time spent together to form even a casual friendship. 40 to 60 hours. Like, take a minute and let that sink in, because that's a lot of time. And when you're really busy, fitting 40 to 60 hours might seem like a lot. To transition from a casual friend to a friend, someone you would consider, more involved in your life, it takes between 80 and 100 hours of time together. And for people to become best friends, or to reach that kind of status in a friendship where you're sharing more about you, they're sharing more about themselves in a deeper, more personal level, that takes about 200 hours or more spent together. So with this data, it's really easy to see why childhood friendships seem to feel more connecting and long lasting, because we spend a lot of time when we're children, right? Playing, hanging out, and spending time together, because we're not distracted with family responsibilities. We're not distracted with work and all of the other things that come with adulting, right? So it's also kind of easy to see how you can make friends when you work in the office together. Some of us here are entrepreneurs, so it's a little bit more challenging for that to occur in a more organic way, because we're not all sitting together in the office. You spend coffee breaks together, maybe you go to lunch together, there's company events, there's water cooler conversations, who watched Big Brother, who's watching Survivor, right? Those kind of conversations happen naturally. Well, when we're entrepreneurs and solopreneurs, or we, aren't surrounded by a lot of people, those conversations don't happen. So if you were considering a casual friendship, let's say you went to a meeting, you met someone that you really connected with, and you thought this might be a really good match for me to be friends with this person. If you take a look at it, takes 40 to 60 hours to create just a casual friendship. That's having a 1-hour coffee meeting or lunch, for an entire year to build a casual friendship with that person, right? Telephone calls, text messages. Maybe it's going to take you, 25 2-hour shopping trips, or maybe 24 golf games in order to create the basis for that basic friendship. The other piece about building those really solid friendships, if you take time to go away to a business event or a trade show or a conference, right, it's easy to see that you can start building your friendships in a more deeper level there, because you're spending so many hours in the room together doing something that you're all interested in. And I think that's a really important factor as well, is when we're doing something, an activity or a hobby that we really like, and we're in that environment, it's easier to match up with people who would potentially be your friends because they have the same interests. So I like to recommend to my clients and members of our community to attend workshops, attend retreats together to really build those friendships in the way that they want to build them. And one of the cool things about doing that when you attend events together is there are opportunities for you to learn new things about your friend that you may not have known before. And that, brings you much closer in a totally different way. Now, because a lot of us here are entrepreneurs and not in the office 40 hours a week, it requires us to be more diligent and more intentional about creating and fostering the friendships that we want in our lives. My boyfriend was at the gym about a couple of months ago, and he started chatting it up with this guy who was riding the bike next to him. And before he left, this gentleman asked him if he wanted to have lunch. And, so they exchanged phone numbers. And even though it felt a little bit uncomfortable for him, because he just has his standard friends that he always meets with and does things with, it felt a little bit uncomfortable. But what's happened is they've had lunch together, they've gone to have drinks together, and they're starting to create a friendship. And that's one of the things Mary Lou mentioned, right? That women usually spend more time cultivating friendships than men do. And I want to encourage all of you, if you see an opportunity, take it. If someone invites you to go do something and they are aligned, right, and you feel comfortable with them, say yes. Even if it's a little bit uncomfortable, I invite you to say yes and just take a chance. So just take a minute and think about, how many hours a week or even a month, maybe, do you set aside for your friendships, where you're paying attention to nurturing them, getting involved in them? Do you on purpose schedule dinner or coffee dates or happy hour or shopping trips or golf games or walks? How often do you do that on purpose? I want to invite, I see friendship as self-care. I think it's an important factor to help us have a really well-rounded and fulfilling life. So if you aren't intentionally putting time on your calendar for friendships, I want to invite you to just spend just 1 hour a week intentionally focused on your friendships. And this can be even someone that you work with. It could be a person you met networking. It could be someone who you've been friends with for years. But I want you to take a little bit of time and really focus on that. I think you'll be surprised at the outcome. One of the things that we talk about and teach, our group is called Authentic Friendships. And an authentic friendship requires an open heart. It requires you to be a good listener. It requires you to have a willingness to be wrong, a willingness to see things in a different way. And this really all kind of happens by taking the small steps in friendship. as they develop and unfold. And this can even happen when you have a shift in an old friendship as well, or a long-term friendship. So our program actually has five pillars for building your friendship. The first one starts with availability. So how available are you? The second one is reciprocity. Is your friendship balanced? Do you feel like what you give, you're getting back in your relationship? Mutual respect. This is a big one because a lot of people deal with drama and upset and disharmony in their friendships and their relationships. And mutual respect really requires non-judgment and acceptance. Trust is the fourth pillar, providing safety, being dependable and predictable. Sometimes we have friends who are unpredictable, but that is the predictability about those friendships, right? And growth. Growth is number 5. And that's really the natural progression in long-term friendships. And that is allowing your friend to grow, maybe at a different rate that you're growing. So there's a lot of grace and understanding, again, the non-judgment and the acceptance of the way that a friendship's shifting and changing. So how do you connect on a more authentic level? Because I think this is one of the things that a lot of people desire, is that honest, that authentic, that kind friendship that can sustain us for a long time. So it really requires a mindset. You know, being willing to ask questions with an open mind, open heart, and to be curious and refrain from judgment. When we feel judged, it will erode trust every single time. So if you think about that, you know, when we can be curious and withhold our judgment, or be able to, you know, step back and look at our judgments and really work that out for ourselves, that actually helps to build trust within ourselves. And it also helps build trusted friendships. You know, I encourage you to talk about things that really matter, right? Your hopes, your dreams, where you want to travel, what's on your bucket list. What are some of the challenges you're having in your life? And, you know, ask for support if you're having struggles. Chances are they're having struggles as well, and they're probably not that much different than yours. And I know sometimes it can be viewed that asking for support or asking for help is a sign of weakness, but it's not. It actually, again, it builds trust and safety and dependability in friendships. You know, I encourage you to talk about your actual friendship. What's really interesting that I've found and learned over the last few years from our group and our community is people don't talk about their friendship and the understanding about the dynamics between it. They often dismiss things that are, you know, if their feelings are hurt, they don't talk about what happened because that's uncomfortable. But the really amazing thing about talking about the uncomfortable stuff is it deepens your friendship and it really makes a difference. Sharing what you appreciate, value in a friendship is also something that can be very connecting and can also deepen your relationships. And this applies, you know, everything I'm talking about today is not just about friendship, but it really is about all friendships in your life. You know, and keep in mind, like, it depends on the level of friendship that you have with someone, how much you share and how deep you go with some of your conversations. You know, the level of sharing is different, but the intention behind it is all the same. So where do you find time for your friendships? Well, I like to encourage people to set appointments. And like I said, do it on purpose and with intention. I have a friend that I've known since I was 17 years old. So we have I'll just say a 40+ year relationship. And every Tuesday at 3:30. So I live in California and she now lives in Arizona. So we don't get to be together and see each other very often. But every Tuesday at 3:30, we get on the phone and talk to each other. Sometimes it's only for 10 minutes, sometimes it's an hour and a half, but we make time to do that for each other, because if we don't, then there's weeks and weeks and weeks, months go by before we ever talk to each other again. And our friendship is that important to us that we actually put it on the calendar. So here are a couple of tips for connecting. We spend a lot of time in our cars. You can make your calls while maybe you're waiting to pick your kids up from school or your grandkids at school, or while you're taking a drive to the next town. Maybe it's going to take you 15 or 20 minutes to go. When you're in the car running errands is a great time to make those calls. In between your calendared appointments, sometimes we have like that 15-minute block where it's not enough time to actually get any work done, but you can certainly have a quick 15-minute connect call with somebody that you know and you want to connect with. On your lunch break, set lunch appointments, or you can even do, I know people are probably zoomed out, right? Because I know this is a hard sell at this point, right? Zoom. You can do Zoom lunches together. It sounds kind of silly-ish, and it's still a fun time that you can see each other face to face and just enjoy, that time away, that you're not distracted from other things. If you're an early riser and your friend is too, setting up those morning connect calls or going for an early morning walk can be really connecting as well. And that early morning stuff can really set the tone for your day. Here's something that I know people usually push back on me when I say this, but asking somebody to if you call someone and say, hey, I just have 15 minutes to chat. If you say that up front, people are usually okay with just having a 15-minute conversation. So when you do that, you're setting up the expectation that it's only going to last 15 minutes. And it really helps you to be more focused on what it is that you want to share. So here's some other tips. Follow your intuition. This is a really important one. If somebody pops in your head, or you're reminded of someone, or you see something that reminds you of someone, send them a text, leave them a voicemail, give them a call, send them an email. Chances are they're thinking about you. Maybe they need the uplifting moment. That is a really powerful tool to know, to remind people that they are important to you. Ask for what you need. If you need connection, send them a text, ask them to connect. Right? Friendship is all about the back and forth. I talked about the reciprocity, right? Asking for what you need is really important for establishing that as well. We do that in business all the time when we're networking. We tell people, what kind of clients are we looking for? Who's a great fit for us? Who can connect us with somebody else, right? Do this in your friendships as well. So just a quick recap. Availability. Pay attention to your availability. Are you available for your friend? Are they available for you? What are the parameters around that? Do you answer your phone after 9 p.m.? Do you answer the phone or your text before 7 a.m.? Talk about those things. Reciprocity. Is there a good balance in your friendship? Mutual respect. Are you holding your friendships in non-judgmental ways and really being open and accepting? Building trust, super important in having great quality, authentic friendships. And growth. Are you allowing the space for growth for yourself and your friends? Because that is really, really important. So thank you for having me today. I really appreciate your time and attention. I want to encourage you all to send a text or a phone call today to someone that's really important to you and that you want to stay connected to. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer anything that you have.
Debbie?
Yes.
A quick question on there is, how do you have, political situations, we've got both sides of the fence, some very strong feelings, and we've got friends that are different than what we believe. How do you handle those friendships? We've got people that we're friends with, but would like to take it further, but we can't really explore that. Could you care to comment on that, please?
Absolutely, and I think that's an amazing question. So thank you for bringing that up. Let me just turn my timer off. I think the way that I recommend people deal with that, and I do this for myself as well, is, you know, you've got to set boundaries around that stuff, right? And you can say something like, you know, I value our friendship, and let's not talk. We know we disagree on this, so let's not talk about that. Let's talk about things that both of us, you know, enjoy talking about. And I know that there are some people who push back. And there are times that sometimes you just have to walk away from the conversation politely, of course, or just say, we just don't agree. We can agree to disagree. And sometimes that's difficult as well. I think that when you share with someone that your relationship with them is more important than that topic, I think that changes the tone of the conversation, because people can get really heated very quickly when it comes to things like politics, things like religion, things like other beliefs, right? But when you have a valued friendship, and if there's the mutual respect, and then there's trust in the relationship as well, it makes it easier to say, let's just not talk about this, or it's not healthy for us to have this conversation today, or I'm not prepared to talk about this today. Let's talk about something else. What can be really helpful as well is if you know you're meeting with someone who might bring something up that's going to be controversial or uncomfortable, have a couple of things like in the back of your mind that you want to share with them, or something that you want to talk about, or an event maybe you want to invite them to shift the conversation in a more subtle way. Is that helpful?
Yeah.
Did that answer your question? I think all of us have probably found us in that situation at some point. Yes.
Yeah, but you bring up a great point, and that is whatever it is that might stimulate a thought, a conversation with someone else, whatever might stimulate you thinking of someone else. I think I've encountered people who have a barrier, they put them up themselves, because I'm the one, I call it intelligent ignorance. I don't know any better. I'll just pick up the phone and call them. And I think some people get in the way and stop at that point and say, well, you know what? I haven't heard from them in a while. There's your reciprocity.
Yes.
See, I think people overvalue that balance. And I'm just not smart enough to think that deeply. I'll just call them anyway.
Yeah.
And usually when that happens, they're very thankful for it. Thanks for calling. I'm really glad you called me. I've been thinking about calling you, but I haven't. And it's usually always a very positive engagement as a result. But I just bring that up because I think people put up their own barriers too often.
100%, 100%. Because we let our fear get in the way. We think, oh no, I haven't talked to them in a long time. Maybe they're mad at me. Or you make up all these stories right in the back of your head about why you shouldn't do it. Or it's dinner time, I'm going to inconvenience them. Like, we got a lot of stories that aren't true. And I love that you said, like, I just do it. Like, I don't let it, like, and it's okay. And to your point, a lot of people are often grateful that you did reach out, that you did think about them. Like, who doesn't like to be remembered or thought of, right? We get busy in our lives. We've got so many things going on, and to stop and pause and take that moment, it's, you know, and we don't always know what people are going through. There are a lot of us, you know, can put on a great face when we've got a lot of things going on that we could use some support, and even just that friendly phone call. Hey, I was thinking about you. So thank you for that. Anybody else have something?
Any questions?
Debbie,
Great, thank you.
Yay, let's give her a hand.
Well, thank you.
Great job, Debbie.
Oh,
Anything
thank
to
you.
add?
Can you share how to join or find your group?
Yes.
She put the stuff.
Sure.
It's in the
Uh,
chat.
Yeah, I did put it in the chat, but I'm more than happy to share it with you. So we have a Facebook group and it's called Authentic Friendships. And I'll put the link in the chat when I'm done talking. Also, we have a website called authenticfriendships.com. We do workshops, we have free events. We're doing a retreat. This is our first retreat in September in Las Vegas because, you know, it's fun there, right? So we're doing a 2-day retreat and we're going to focus on fun. We're going to focus on some workshop stuff. And really the whole premise is to bring women together to expand and nurture their friendship base, because friendships are very vital in our health and well-being. So thank you.
So that's not a co-ed thing?
It's not at this point. I'm sorry. One
No
of the
single women,
all women,
but no single women. Single women, yes, no?
there will be single women, yes.
There we go.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. We just started the group 2 years ago when the pandemic hit, because we noticed that women were feeling isolated and lonely because we were all in shutdown. So one of the things that's kind of in our long-term plan is to partner with an organization that focuses specifically on men, and then really work to partner with them to do kind of the same thing. But we're not there yet, because we do recognize that, you know, friendship is a universal thing. It's just that that's an area, you know, that we specialize in. And that's the client base that my partner, Sherry Peterson, and I focus on. So that was the motivation for that.
Hey Debbie, Tim wants to know what hotel are you guys at?
Oh my gosh.
And what color wristband will the single women
Yeah,
wear?
right.
Oh my
You guys
God.
are something else.
I think there are platforms for you. I just mean, like, I think there are platforms for single women.
That's scary.
Thank you, Debbie.
Yep, that was great. Very good.
Great job, Debbie. We are very honored to have you as part of Talk Shop. Thank you, Mary Lou Novak with Home Helpers, for bringing Debbie and for all that you do. Mary Lou, she knows what to do. And Susan David for coming early, and Tim Fleschner and Troy and Lynn and all of you who do something